Welcome back to Mount Celeste. I'm dear darling, and we'll face the inner demons and reach for summit together as we continue on in our farewell climbing or something. I honestly don't really remember where we are or what we have to do. Also going to turn down the music slightly because I forget. What are we doing? We're jellyfish jumping. That's right. We haven't. Oh yeah. It's coming back to me slowly. I probably should have looked at exactly on how we do each of these so I could sort of remember and remind myself. But it's right, you know. A little bit of a warm-up before we get things really rolling in here, methinks. This seems about right until the part where I launch myself into the spikes, which is undesirable. So yeah, I don't know how many screens there are left. I don't know why I'm speaking so weirdly, but I don't know quite how many screens we got left until we reach the fabled Moonberry, as I believe it's called. So hopefully we can get it done reasonably soon. Well, actually, I guess it doesn't really matter in the end, but still, it'd be a nice sense of accomplishment, I suppose. I remember now, it's diagonal dash through there. And it feels like a fitting end, I suppose, to Celeste. I don't know, this obviously isn't the hardest thing which there's left to do in Celeste, there's the golden berries and all that, but you know, you're probably bored of me talking about them for now, so let's move on to something else, I suppose. You know what I'm still excited to do is I'm still excited to go watch someone do like the full speed run of Celeste. It is perhaps one of the most fun things to watch in, you know, previous games in the past that I played. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching people play through them again at like high speeds with all their daring tales and exploits. Well, daring tales and exploits makes it sound a bit more adventurous, and I suppose it is. What do we do there again? We jellyfish jump to the top right again? Is that right? I think so. Because there's one in Cuphead, which I saw like after I beat Cuphead. I have played through Cuphead. I did beat it. Did I flawless everything? No, of course not. I'm going to be perfectly honest. But I did beat everything. I believe on expert mode. It's been a while since I last played, so I don't really remember. But it was super fun, I thought, to watch a speedrun of that. Bugsnax as well was also quite a fun one because Bugs. I suppose it's like sort of two different flavors of speedrun because one of them is sort of like mostly played as the game was intended, except for there's like one fight like in that's how you do it. I didn't throw it in the right direction. In King Dice's fight or something where you can sort of bypass the entire fight through this sort of exploit. But Bugsnax is sort of just like a lot of it is oh, I think. Wait, do we have to bounce? No, do we hit the wall first and then do it? I can't remember. But Bugsnax, a lot of it was just load of just like speedrun skipping out and glitching parts of it until the final encounter where you had to do the exact final encounter basically exactly as the devs intended it, which I imagine must have been a bit of a relief for the devs to see. I don't remember what we do at that part, to be perfectly honest. We go across, so we got one dash. We must hit the wall. You know, we probably float down to the wall and then jellyfish jump upwards to the top left, right? And then we sort of bounce, jellyfish jump, bounce. I actually kind of don't know what to do past that point, but hopefully we can sort of figure it out. That's not right. As soon as it goes slightly awry, you just sort of end yourself there. Yeah, I don't know. Well, what else should we talk about? Speedruns are only so much, but I've talked about speedruns before. I'm pretty sure I talked about it on one of the seasides, at least. It feels somewhat familiar. That's not a word. Familiar in my mind. What have I been up today? I watched Mark Rober and his squirrel heist videos about making like these very totally over-engineered, to be fair, but quite fun and very impressive nonetheless. Inventions about the plight of having squirrels eat up the contents, that's the word, not the containers, of bird feeders. You know, as the story goes, you should watch a video himself instead of having it be like third-hand knowledge from me. But you know, he got a bird feeder, tried to do some bird watching, but then these dastardly squirrels kept, you know, getting into them and eating all the bird feed. That doesn't seem right. do we go over the top? So we bounce off there. Maybe we jellyfish. Yeah, I think we jellyfish dashed over the top of it. I think that wall might be a distraction, which is fair, you know. I suppose in I didn't mean to do that. In Mother Nature, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. It's not like the squirrels are going to be particularly courteous to the birds in the sense that they're going to be like give up on this opportunity for food for other birds or whatever. I'd imagine, you know, that's a good question. How much cooperation is there between different species in animals? And I know there's like those symbiotic relationships. Sorry, mutualism. I mean, there's other ones as well, like commensalism and parasitism, I believe, which are different types of symbiotic relationships. But ooh, look at that. I don't know if this is right, but we got here, so how wrong could it be? How bad can I be? I'm only doing what comes naturally. That's a quote from For Once there. I don't even know why I know that song, to be honest, but I do. But like, okay, how many symbiotic relationships do I even know? There's that underwater one. I can't remember what it was. There's one of them which like digs a little burrow, and then one of them which like protects the burrow or something from predators. This is underwater, by the way, not like in the forest grassland or whatever. I can't remember what they are. I think one's like a hermit crab or some sort of crab thing, and it's like blind. And the other one's like some sort of like fish which like can lash out very like quickly. Am I making this up? I swear I've seen it in a nature documentary, but it could be my memory is failing me in that regard. All right, nice. Okay, keep it going. Okay. Ah, oh, I dashed the wrong way. That's what we had to do. We actually had to wait there a little bit just to make sure we can line up for the jellyfish again and catch it. There's also, isn't it like there's a rhino and a bird which eats the stuff off a rhino? I can't quite remember. Something like that. I don't know where rhinos live, to be honest. Or maybe it's a hippo. What other symbiotic relationships are there between different species of animals? I don't really know, to be honest. I'm not an expert in zoology. But it's weird, you know? What if every animal in the world just cooperated with each other? How would that even work? I don't know, because, you know, the whole, you know, carnivores and stuff. Unless, you know, herbivores out there, the prey animals sort of just like, you know, here's a sacrifice to the predator animals to keep them in peace. That doesn't really sound like a much more of a mutual relationship, I suppose. But you would have thought squirrels and birds, you know, would sort of be like, look out for each other. But anyway, the moral of the story of those videos is squirrels are very, very tricksy and very, very acrobatically talented, as it turns out. He made like a Ninja Warrior style obstacle course with them, and the other one was like themed around a bank heist or something, and they just like absolutely wrecked them, I'm not gonna lie. They were fantastic. Squirrels really are the ninjas of the grasslands, or the forest, I suppose. I'm not sure if the squirrel habitat is called a grassland now I think about it, but still. Squirrels kind of have trees, require trees and all that to... Well, it's not like they need trees to survive, I suppose. That seems a bit of a misnomer, but their habitat is certainly a forest. I wonder if it actually is better for us to wait there, because we're very inconsistent when we don't wait. And I have a vague memory of last time when we did it, we bounced off a wall, but it could be that I'm just misremembering. You remember Ninja Warrior? Is that show still going on? It must be still going on. It was so popular. I used to watch it when I was younger as well, to be honest. But I don't actually know if it was a UK version or not, to be honest. I don't know if there's a difference between the UK and American version. But the incredible feats that they put up in Ninja Warriors. Well, I suppose meant to be akin to ninjas, but who knows if even ninjas had to do stuff like that. I don't know much about ninjutsu, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't want to spout random nonsense about it, so let's perhaps move on. I can imagine most... a lot of my knowledge... Like, I can't even say like my knowledge is like made up from Naruto or anything. I never even watched Naruto before. I've seen like one episode of Naruto. I don't even remember what it was about. So I don't even have that sort of knowledge. I don't even have like possibly inaccurate second-hand knowledge. I don't know about the historical accuracy of a portrayal of ninjas in Naruto. Maybe it's really good. Who knows? Who am I to judge? Certainly a nobody in that respect. How do we do this again? When do we wait? We wait after we floated on over. We don't wait after we've thrown it, because then you know, gravity sort of just takes us over, and we fall as we fall. What am I doing? I've always wanted to try one of those Ninja Warrior courses. I know, I'm not the most athletically minded person. Would I be any good at it? Absolutely not. I'd probably fall off multiple times just on my first obstacle. But some of them, I'm sure, like, I could at least give it a go. Or maybe I should give a go, to the kids Ninja Warrior version. There is a kids Ninja Warrior, which is absolutely absurd to me. Not in a certain degree, but I thought like the risk of injury, it would be way too high with kids that you probably wouldn't want to make a whole TV show out of it. But then I think back to it and think back to some of like the old game shows that kids used to be on, you know, like what's it called? It's not called Temple Run. Something of the Monkey Temple. That's not right. No, Jungle Run. It was called Jungle Run. I'm getting it confused. There's like an American one called like Legends of the Monkey Temple or something. Hidden Temple? That doesn't sound right to me, but I can't think why. I guess that has quite a lot of acrobatic stuff, and I assume the kids sort of sign a waiver, being more like, you know, I'm not going to take responsibility. I'll take full responsibility for any injuries that are caused or something. Can you just do that? That seems like something you legally shouldn't allow a kid to sign, but I don't know. I've never been on one of those shows, and I probably never will. Mainly because I'm no longer a child, so that makes it rather difficult to appear on one of those shows. Okay, remember, you slow down here. Oh, my word. I think I dashed in the wrong direction again. I'm not particularly sure. Alright then. Because anyway, yeah, they had very athletic sort of challenges on those shows as well, but nothing really to the level of Ninja Warrior level. Ninja Warrior is on a whole nother level when it comes to these sort of physical challenges and game shows, isn't it? Is there a kids version of Wipeout? That would be interesting. I assume we still need this jellyfish. Okay, I see. We had to bounce off our right side because that platform is slightly too high up for us to really work with. There must be a kids version of Wipeout. Like Wipeout is also one of those really popular sort of physical challenge game shows. The only difference being Wipeout is much more on the comedic side, taken on by people who aren't necessarily the most athletic, but are like reasonably level. But it's more about the comic Wipeouts, I suppose. Compared to Ninja Warrior, where it's like, this is the peak human condition in physical performance. Well, in this aspect, I suppose. Not to like discredit them, it's incredibly impressive, like the stuff that they can do. Things like the spider climb, the salmon ladder, I believe as it's called. I don't remember any of the other ones. Okay, nice. Okay. Okay. Okay, we had to chuck... Hold on. I think we had to chuck it as we grab a crystal. That's actually really high up. Okay. Okay, so we do that usual dash over. We could probably do it under if we really wanted to, but doing it over seems a bit safer. And then throw it as we grab a crystal. Dash. When do we grab it again? We dash twice. Because there's a wall on the right there, which is very strange. I'm not sure why there's a wall there. I guess we just dash up and dash upwards into a jump. Hit the ground. Jump, and jellyfish bounce, jump off of that. And presumably that sends us upwards, where we float down to that middle thing. And then we can have a breather as we jump out to the right, and then jellyfish jump to the left, and then jellyfish jump right, and left. And then we land there. And then who knows, once we go from there. That's my assumption. Am I going to remember that when we get out there? I don't particularly know, but hopefully we can get it down to muscle memory so that we won't even need to bother about that sort of thing anymore. I'm just saying, a kid's version of Wipeout seems like it's ripe for, you know, legal lawsuits and just many sort of problems. You know, it's one thing to have an adult, you know, a consenting adult above the age of 18 being like, you know what, I'm totally fine if I just go on the show and I accidentally like break my arm or whatever by being stupid in this sort of obstacle course, which is meant to cause as much harm but not like in a permanent way as possible for the sake of comedy, for the chance of a cash prize. But doing that with like a child, I suppose, seems certainly ripe for disaster. But what do I know? I'm not a lawyer. That was nearly bad. Okay. What? Okay, so we need to chuck the jellyfish earlier, so it actually lands on the springs, I think. Not quite as late as grabbing a crystal. Because that was a problem, it didn't even touch the springs. because we don't have much time. As soon as we let go of a jellyfish, we basically have to be instantly dashing up twice. Otherwise, gravity will be taking us over. Or I misunderstand what we're meant to do at that part, which is very possible, to be perfectly honest. It's not the first time it's happened, and it certainly won't be the last. But hopefully, well, actually, hopefully it will be the last, because hopefully there's not too much left to do after this this moonberry thing. Well, I mean, after this particular screen of a moonberry. I'm going to guess there's 2 more screens. Both of them of this sort of level of difficulty. You know what? So I guess you can hit the wall. Maybe that is more consistent, maybe it's not. What? Maybe it's not, I don't know. Now you might say, which would you rather be on? Ninja Warrior, Takeshi's Castle, or it's called something else in America, and it's like, I don't know. I think it's called like SNK, but I don't actually know if that's right. Might be something else. So, either way, that's a sort of like Japanese OG Wipeout, I suppose, or Wipeout. Okay, so the obvious last place answer I think is Takeshi's Castle, because the injuries in that one seems ripe for disaster. To be perfectly honest. Like, they have this one mini game where you're just like rolling on like these spinning cylinders, like these giant silo like containers called high rollers. And the amount of people who've just like fallen off of it and like got wedged in between, like they sort of like ping pong back and forth as they fall down. You know? And never particularly like watching people get injured. I like watching those shows. It might sound really stupid, but I like watching people do the shows and actually succeeding in the end. I suppose that's very classically me, but still. That is just so typically me. Dum 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 da da. Oops. Sorry. Bit of a Britney Spears interlude. But yeah, the one I always think about. What am I doing? The one I always think about is not just the high rollers, but I think it's called skipping stones or something. Where basically they need to travel across this pond with a load of stones. I guess it's more like a lake, but some of them are actual like stones with like actual solid platforms they can stand on, and some of them are just like sinking ones. And the amount of times that they just go at it at full speed and they just like charge across, and then, you know, it turns out they accidentally step on a false stone, and then it like sinks down beneath them, and they like land on their back or something of one of the other stones. It feels like that would be a high risk of injury, shall we say. I'm not that much of a risk taker to be like, you know what, for a bit of a laugh, I'm going to go on the show and risk my injury. You know, I guess ideally I wouldn't go on any. Well, no, that's not fair. In the end, I would definitely try at least going on each of them, but then like, I suppose there's this sort of a nagging feeling in the back of my head being like, if I go on one of those shows, and I just like break my arm or something, I'll just be like, I knew it, shouldn't have done it. Who could have seen this coming? You knew it was a bad idea. You've only got yourself to blame. That would be the worst part, I suppose. But sort of like, could have prevented this if I just didn't do it. You know, I do like a good old adrenaline rush and all that sort of thing. But the adrenaline rush I like is the much more safe side of adrenaline rushes, which sounds counterintuitive, but like, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like what my brain determines as safe or not. Because, you know, you may not know this, I love roller coasters. I love theme parks and amusement parks and thrill rides, like that sort of thing. And you might be like, that seems very strange. Aren't roller coasters super dangerous? I don't know the statistics behind it, but, you know, roller coasters, I'd imagine, have to go through a lot of, well, okay, I guess it depends where and if it's a legal amusement park, but roller coasters have to go through a lot of, like, rigorous testing to make sure they're certainly quite safe to ride on. Otherwise, I'd imagine the Safety Commission would just be like, hey, yeah, this is, like, super illegal what you're doing here. Excuse me? You can't just do that. You know, maybe we should do a diagonal jellyfish jump, lest we get catapulted into spikes, crystals, which happen far more often than I honestly expected. Yeah, but I love roller coasters because I don't know, it's a sensation, I suppose, that they make you feel unsafe. Well, they give you the illusion of it being unsafe while being perfectly crafted to feel safe. And I've always really quite liked, that's not a sentence, I've always really liked roller coasters since I was younger, and like riding on these sort of amusement park rides. Don't know, heavens knows why, you know, kids are mysterious beings, but I remember once back in school we went to, for some reason we always had this trip where we went to a popular amusement park in England called Fort Park. And And it was meant to be like, oh, it's one of those school trips which is meant to be like, oh, you know, technically it's meant to be about the science of roller coasters and that sort of thing, but really we're just, you know, here to let the kids have some fun, you know, take a day off school basically, and, you know, ride on roller coasters, and then I guess the teachers maybe ride on them as well. I don't really know. I'd imagine at that age maybe they're not so inclined that way to seek out these sort of thrill rides, but it's basically one of those, it's one of those trips which is disguised. What? Where it's just like, oh yeah, you know, this is definitely an educational trip, when really you're not really learning much. Although to a certain extent it was, because about halfway through the day we had to meet up again at this, like, it was giant like conference hall where one of the roller coaster engineers, I think, or something, basically held a talk about designing roller coasters and that sort of thing, and the safety mechanisms that go into it, which is, I suppose, meant to be reassuring for most people, being like, oh, these roller coasters are particularly safe, and, you know, this is why you feel so unsafe in them, because a lot of them work by, like, they send you on a trajectory where if you weren't riding on a rail, if you were just like free flying through the air, like in an arc, you would, like, it would look like you would collide with, like, say, this bridge or something, but because you are on a rail, the roller coaster suddenly, like, punts you downwards, and punts is not really the right word, but pulls you downwards out the way of, like, the incoming obstacle. So in your brain's doing a mental calculations, being like, I know how objects fall in space and fly through the air. We are going to collide with that bridge. We are in danger. We are going to die. But then the roller coaster is like, psych, because you're on rails. It pulls you down away from it, you know, in a very unnatural, non-physical way. Not non-physical, that doesn't make sense. Very unnatural, doesn't follow the laws of physics, except for, you know, if it didn't exist. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. Basically, like, imagine, like, the trajectory, I suppose, of an object flying through the air. Roller coasters work, some, not all of them, work on that principle, where if you followed the natural trajectory, you would, like, splat straight into the wall. But then the roller coaster, because it's on rails, the actual path doesn't go along that trajectory. It looks like it follows that trajectory for as long as possible, then suddenly it pulls away, and, like, pulls you downwards into, like, a sudden drop or something. So the entire time you're flying through the air, your subconscious brain's going like, abort, 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 we're in danger. And then suddenly at last second, the roller coaster goes, psych. And obviously does not splat you hurtling at like 200 miles per hour into a wall, because that would be rather, you know, dangerous for the human body. Or anybody, I suppose. But yeah, it was actually a really interesting talk about, like, the different sort of, how to put it? I'm going to say precautions. Measures put into a roller coaster to make you feel like it's super unsafe and super scary and, like, heart pounding, when actually, like, the machine's, like, in total control the whole time. I mean, I suppose that's why there's not too many sort of, like, roller coaster related injuries and accidents. Well, you would have thought you'd hear more about it. Like, even still, I feel like you hear about it quite a lot, because people trying to, I don't know, spread, like, spooky rumours about roller coasters. I don't really know. Not to say that it doesn't happen. It certainly does happen. Like, faults do happen, but those sort of risks you take for a little bit of fun, whether worth it or not in your mind, I suppose, is... That takes so long to fall down. I feel like we must release a squid at a completely different area. Is it possible we go up through the bottom, we chuck the squid, the jellyfish, and hang on to that floating block on that left wall, and then jump again and get the double crystal? That sounds stupid, but we're going to try it, because you know, you might as well try these sort of things, unless you'll never find out exactly what happens in these situations. The only way to know is to try. But yeah, he also talked about another roller coaster that was in Fort Park, and I think it was like the Saw one or whatever, and how it messes with your senses to really sort of disorientate you and freak you out, like it. Because I think the Saw one was broken or something when we went to the park, or maybe it wasn't open. I can't remember, but I didn't end up riding it. And despite the fact I've been to that amusement park quite a lot, I've been to a lot of amusement parks in the UK. To be fair, now I think about it, I've never actually ridden on it, so I don't really know, but. it puts you like in the dark. It like sort of tries and messes up with your sense of orientation. So your body's sort of just like, where am I? What is everything? What are these noises? This is very scary. But really, you know, you're actually just, you know, riding along a normal roller coaster, just, you know, in the dark. It's just like, I suppose if you put it that way, it's a bit anticlimactic. But they also had this roller coaster I remember called X No Way Out, which, by the way, when you break it down, it's actually a really boring roller coaster, to be perfectly honest. There's no like frills, there's no turns, there's no inversions, there's nothing like that. Literally, the entire roller coasters, you just go backwards through a rather mild sort of track, from what I recall. And it's just kind of in the dark, and that's just it. It's weird. It's amazing how many times, now I think about it, roller coasters might just use when in the dark to sort of trick your senses, isn't it? The one of X No Ways Out, like, it's spooky because you're going backwards, I suppose. It feels very unknown and very unnatural. You're also in the dark, so you're very disorientated, which I'd imagine. I wonder if roller coasters which take place in the dark are even more disorientating than ones you don't take in saved than ones you don't do in the dark. Like what? I don't understand what I'm meant to do. I must be doing something horribly wrong. We must surely jellyfish jump, chuck the thing. I don't know if we can make that jump from holding on to this block here. Holding on for a wall climb onto that crystals. I guess we must be able to. Now look at it. We probably could. But then what? Because we have two dashes. One of them has to go upwards and one of them has to be the final dash which we use to catch the jellyfish. So I guess it has to be two vertical jumps. Vertical dashes. Then why is a wall there on the right? Will two vertical dashes, including one jelly jump, get us high enough to land on that platform? It has to. It has to. Otherwise, what else? Literally, what else are you going to do in this situation? I don't know. Yeah, I remember when I'm not sure if it was when X No Way Out or whatever was first released or whatever. It was okay as a ride. I remember riding on it being like, it's rather boring. And then I remember I rode on it many years later at that school trip. And they added like new things. They put like statues, like you sometimes stop. There will sometimes be places where you stop. Oh, actually, didn't even think that we could do it like that. I just did that subconsciously, apparently. That's probably actually is a shortcut. But you stop at like certain locations in the ride, and then they're like, oh, you know what? I remember. Also, that's awesome. That shortcut there. No, what am I doing? And they show you like a creepy looking kind of statue. They like put a spotlight in it, and it's like the only thing you can see. And I guess that's meant to freak you out. Problem is, I remember, is because I didn't wear contacts back then, so I had to take off my glasses basically before every time I rode a ride. You might be like, why do you take your glasses off before you ride a roller coaster? Well, it's at risk of like my glasses flying off during a roller coaster, especially during ones with inversions and that sort of thing, and leaving me blind for the rest of the day, which is obviously suboptimal, you might say. I like this little shortcut we do here. That's very fun. Okay. Remember. Jellyfish jump. Jellyfish jump and chuck it. I was going to say then go backwards, but you know that it didn't really come to that, so much that. Yeah, I take off my glasses before riding roller coasters. Even though X No Way Out, in retrospect, I didn't have to take my glasses off because it's a very, very mild sort of ride. I couldn't actually see what the statues look like, so I only heard secondhand. Oh, you know what? The crystal probably respawns if we can chuck it. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel very natural. And that's my favourite thing about this game, is how like everything feels like a dance. Everything feels very choreographed into how things should go. But this feels unnatural, the way we're doing it right now. At least it feels very strange. Hold on. Or the way we're trying. I don't know. Okay, we're going to give it one more attempt. It's pretty difficult because it's kind of hard to figure out where exactly I'm meant to throw it from. There we threw it basically when we were level at it and it didn't quite reach it. Like, I'm just thinking, because you've got to delay so much time for the jellyfish to actually fall down in the first place. So I'm thinking we basically have to be waiting. We have to wait on that wall for a sec. It's one of the few walls in this screen which doesn't have a slippery ice on it, so... You know, I've got to make my own assumptions about that. Okay, one more good attempt and we'll round off this episode. But yeah, like, I couldn't even see the sort of like spooky statues or whatever they put a little spotlight on, which I meant to, I assume, freak you out while you're riding and be like, oh, it's weird in the dark, and scary thing, it's a weird statue on the right. But from what I remember, like, I didn't have my glasses on, I was like squinting at trying to see them. It kind of just looked like those like scientific, like cut open body models that they have in like biology classrooms and things like that, you know, where they like show the digestive system of a human body and that sort of thing, which, you know, feels a lot less spooky and much more just like something you'd see in the, well, literally in a biology classroom. Learning, it's the spookiest thing of all. Okay, so chuck. Well, that's no good. Luckily we saved it somehow. How does this keep happening? This can't be right. This cannot be right. What am I doing? Okay, I'm gonna have to think about that, but we'll round this episode off here for now. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. This has been Celeste, I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. I hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, goodbye for now.